Hello, everybody. Welcome to this wonderful Sunday afternoon. I just want to spend some time talking about a few altcoins with you. Now, there are a bunch of hot altcoins out there, particularly a lot of those that are popping up on the Solana blockchain. They have a lot of momentum. They keep coming up. They're diluting the cryptocurrency world, basically, but they keep on pumping up. There's a lot of momentum behind them. You could certainly chase the momentum if you like. The only biggest problem with that is you don't really know in terms of the price action. You can't really chart them because a lot of them has been kind of going on a straight line, and nothing ever goes straight up in a straight line forever. At some point, people are going to want to take profit. They're going to want to move the liquidity to something else, and you just don't know when you're going to end up being exit liquidity, right? So it's really tough for me to be able to chase that. That's certainly one strategy, is to chase momentum. A lot of people do that. A lot of traders do that. But the other strategy is to also look at what has already been more established. You might be limiting your gains with these, but they are at least well known to the cryptocurrency world. And they have real blockchain technology. There's actually real utility to them, and there's also pre-established price action with these as well. So I'm going to talk about a few of them. The first one is Chainlink. We hear Chainlink. If you know any basics about cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, it's an oracle. The whole idea is that blockchain technology runs on these things they call smart contracts. Basically, they're just like decentralized online programs that you can run that are in the blockchain technology. Now, it becomes a lot less powerful with these smart contracts unless if you're able to gather real world data and to be able to give it some real world applications, right? So that's what an oracle comes in, like Chainlink. That's exactly what it does. There's really not much else like it. I mean, there are a few competitors, but they're not really true competitors. Chainlink really is it. They're very established. There are tons of collaborators, tons of people are already comfortable using it. So I don't think Chainlink's really going to go away anytime soon. Now, when it comes to the price action, you're looking at a monthly chart right here. And what you're seeing, there are a couple things. One is I'm showing you the Bollinger Band right here. Bollinger Band comes in a 20 moving period, moving average. In this case, this is a monthly chart. It's a 20-month moving average right here that you're seeing, which really gives you a pretty good idea about the trend. And on top of that, this is a monthly chart. I just want to show you that there has been about 2 years of consolidation of Chainlink at single digits. And because of that, I think that the move that is going to come up is going to be pretty powerful. Now, trend is your friend until the very end. You can see that when the trend is positive, the price just keeps on going up. And you can tell the trend really by a longer term moving average, like a 20-month moving average, that's been going up the whole time until it starts to roll over, when it starts to make these lower highs compared to this high right here. And you can see that this moving average is really starting to roll over and breaks through that moving average and gets down to this area here where it's finding support for about 2 years. Now the trend is starting to change, isn't it? After consolidation in about 2 years, you have a breakout and it's really starting to change. The Bollinger Band is expanding, going up and going down. This is what my friend Danny refers to, that says to the crocodile's mouth kind of opening. This is the upper jaw, this is the lower jaw. And when it's open up like that, it's ready to feed. Where's the tongue going? The tongue is going up. So that's probably where the price is going to keep riding up the upper Bollinger Band for quite some time. For how long, nobody knows. It could be long as like it did last time, for like really 1, 2, 3 straight years. But I'm not really counting on that. I think most likely Chainlink is going to follow the rest of the cryptocurrency cycle. It can very well run for another 12 months, maybe a little bit longer. Who knows, right? But I think this is a beginning of a very powerful bull trend. Just looking at this, right off the bat. In terms of targets, I just last year I threw out the target of like 130 or 180. People laughed at me because prices was in the single digits. Now it's getting to the double digits. Now it's hitting prices like 20. People are seeing what happened in the past, And the fact that there's already been a huge deleveraging, it really does make me think that it could go a lot higher, potentially to triple digits. But I think you're right. We should just take it 1 month at a time and see where it goes, right? I did draw these Fibonacci levels here from the last all-time high to the recent low to kind of give you an idea in terms of potential price targets and things like that. Now, with that said, this is a very good way to look at Chainlink or any assets to see the trends. You can change a little bit and look at the Ichimoku cloud. There's really not much to look at. The cloud hasn't really even started forming until just now. And the bullish cross of the Tenkan and the Kijun has not even happened yet, but looks like it's about to, right? And when it happens, it can run on for quite some time. I expected to break through the cloud, although I couldn't expect some potential resistance over here. And if you look at, let me see if there's any historical data in terms of, no, not from this particular way. But let's say if you look at the Coinbase data, if you really try to look at the volume shelf, there you go. I drew some volume shelf here. You try to look at some resistance area. It looks like there is some resistance as you get closer to the Ichimoku cloud right here, right? So you're really talking about Chainlink probably going to go around up to around like 25, 26 range. And when it gets around there, you're going to start seeing some resistance there. But once it breaks through that, I think it can really go on some pretty crazy impulsive, sky's the limit kind of run if it ends up doing that, right? So we have to monitor the situation very closely. But if you bought Chainlink right around here like I did, it really doesn't matter unless you're really trying to take profit and chase something else. It really doesn't matter. I want to see what happens based on looking at the trend. I think a pretty impulsive move is probably going to end up coming. And I'm, very confident that Chainlink is going to do very well this cycle. If you look at a little bit more detailed, if you want to look at the weekly to try to figure out what the price action has been doing, and one way to look at it I like to do is to look at the bull market support band, which generally serves as a pretty good support. Now, if it slopes up, it can serve as a pretty good support to push price up. If it slopes down, it can serve as a pretty good resistance to push price down, right? Right now, we're really starting at a new bull trend. I really think that the next target is going to be on this volume shelf around like 25 or 26. But that's one coin that I am personally invested in. Most likely, this might end up being a swing trade for me because of just how crazy these cycles go. But I do want to talk about another older coins that I personally find there's going to be some utility to, and this is VeChain. VeChain is someone that has been around again for a few years, and there are certainly a lot of real world applications to VeChain. Is involved predominantly when I think of VeChain, I think about supply management. They have partners in Walmart. They're doing a bunch of supply management things over in China for Walmart. H&M also uses them. So there's some real world partners to this coin. And if you look at VeChain, the very first thing I want to show you is the trend, right? Bollinger Bands, crocodile's mouth, upper Bollinger Band, lower Bollinger Band, they're both expanding up. The 20-month moving average is crawling up. And price is starting to get pretty impulsive here. It's trying to push above the upper Bollinger Band, and there's potential that it could continue that trend, just keep pushing the upper Bollinger Band, just keep expanding it up as the bull market continues. Again, we might be at the very beginning of this trend right here. Now we're starting to hit a little bit of a resistance here, and this can be shown a lot more clearer if you look at the weekly chart. You're starting to hit a little bit of a resistance right here, and it could take some time for it to kind of get over it, but so far the overall, larger, higher time frame trends seems to be, doing pretty good. Another way to kind of look into that, again, the bull market support band, if it's positive slope, it's going to push price higher. If it's negative slope, it can push price lower, right? Right now, we just touched, a couple times here and just kept on pushing price higher because we're in the beginning of a bull market. And you can see that it's going pretty impulsive. At some point, the bull market support band is going to keep going up, and at some point, the price is going to have to kind of come down and kind of get close to it, kind of maybe use it potentially to see whether or not it's support. But when the bull market gets pretty impulsive, sometimes it doesn't even touch the band. It can just potentially just keep going up, and the band just keep going up with it. But it's looking like a very beginning of a very powerful bull trend. Now, if you ask me in terms of targets, again, it's always tough to say, right? But with impulsive price action like this, if it breaks through this area right here, let me say, yeah, I'm gonna pull it up in a different way. I'm gonna look at perhaps Binance, which I'm gonna have a little bit more of a price history data if you want to look at volume shelf to see where potential resistance could be. Right now we're at a volume shelf right here. The next one's probably going to be when the price doubles right up here, which again makes sense because this is also a horizontal resistance level. If you just kind of look at it, touches a lot of points here and here. So this volume shelf coincides with horizontal resistance. So the next resistance, if it breaks through up here, it's probably going to end up being, like 0.8 or 0.08. So it's probably going to be double the price. If it gets above that, it can even push through all these, lesser volume shelf. It can potentially go up to price exploration mode as well, right? And if you want to look at the Fibonacci retracement level from its all-time high to its recent lows, it kind of gives you an idea. Right now we're hitting resistance at a 0.136 level, and the next resistance is going to be really at the 0.236 level, right at the Fibonacci level right here. So these Fib levels mean something, right? Another important level is the 0.618. You can see that right there. So it's going to keep challenging these resistance level. We'll see how far it gets us, but everything that I'm seeing, it still seems like this is at the beginning of a potentially a very powerful bull trend. And it's not just looking at the weekly, it's also looking at the monthly with the Bollinger Band expansion. These things could get pretty impulsive, right? So that was VeChain. Another one that we've been looking at is something known as the graph. Now, the graph is another one of these older coins that's been around for at least a few years. It has a lot of partners. It has actual utility in the blockchain technology world, and it basically is more involved in indexing and queries. Some people, like for simplification, some people basically just call it like the Google of blockchain. Now, I'm not even going to pretend to you that I'm like a blockchain technology expert or anything like that. I just want to show you the chart here, and I just want to let you know that this is not a scam coin. There's partnership, with a lot of big companies. I'm if you want to find out more about the fundamentals, there are a lot of resources out there. But when you look at the technicals, it's going through a trend change, just like VeChain, just like Chainlink. And I think, again, we're at the very beginning part of the bull cycle. This is the monthly chart, and the monthly 20 moving average is just starting to curl up, and price action is starting to get pretty impulsive and trying to expand the upper Bollinger Band and lower Bollinger Band up and down in order for potential price continuation of this bullish trend to keep going up, right? And if you want to look at the weekly to kind of get a better idea of its relationship with the bull market support band, very same thing here, right? During bear market, it served as a resistance. During bull market, now it's serving as a support. If anything, it really gives you a lot of confirmation that this probably is the beginning of a pretty powerful bull trend. If you are looking at the Fibonacci level and the volume shelf. Let's look at Coinbase. I'm very curious about a volume shelf of Coinbase. Yeah, so I think we're having some breakout here at this level, but the next resistance is probably more closer to up here. Right now the price is 24 cents. I think it could push up to maybe about 35 cents right up here on the volume shelf. And if you look at a rough, Fibonacci level retracement, it's not, I think the higher levels right here might be a little bit more touching it. But right now, we're not even anywhere close to that. If you do the Fibonacci level at a little bit lower level, kind of like right around here, that can give you a little bit better idea. Right now, it seems like we might be getting, rejected at the 0.236 up here, and we might be trying to push over about the 0.382 here and got rejected a couple times, and finally it looks like it's pushing through. And the next level at the fifth level is probably closer to like 0.5. I think it might be like 28 cents. But the point is that this is also one of those coins that could potentially have a pretty big move, right? Because it had a huge deleveraging event that happened for 1 and 2 years. It consolidated for about 2 years and is starting to have a pretty powerful bull trend. I'm not ruling out the potential for it to hit these higher levels, although I'm not sure if it will, because if you look at the Fibonacci level, it does tend to be lagging behind some of the other ones. But it's possible, right? And it's important to look at these levels and to see where people and also yourself would want to take profits from if you want to look into something like this. The fourth one I would look at is one that I've been on for a very long time, Cortesi. Now, Cortesi is another older coin that's been around for a few years, or at least a couple years. It's more involved in trying to gap between traditional computing and blockchain technology. It gives the chances for developers to use more traditional languages like Linux-based computing and languages, and trying to use that in the blockchain world. So it allows more developers to come and basically do things using blockchain technology, right? If you look right off the bat, it just look at the weekly, and also let's just look at the monthly, right? It looks like a big giant rounded bottom. If matter of fact, it looks like kind of like a double bottom kind of thing over here, and it looks like it's trying to break above this neckline right here, right? And if you look at the other things I looked at earlier, if you look at just the Bollinger Band on the monthly, very same thing. Bollinger Band expanding, 20-month moving average crawling up, price getting pretty impulsive about the upper Bollinger Band. If you look at the weekly here, if you look at the bull market support band, again, it's touched right there and it pushed up, right? You see before that is trying to figure out whether or not is it support, is it resistance. It couldn't really figure it out when it's basing, but after it figured out that it is support, it really became pretty impulsive. And right now I think you're going to start having a pretty impulsive trend upwards. In addition to looking at the bull market support band, I also like to look at the Ichimoku cloud here. If you just look at the cloud and you zoom in, it looks like price trying to get into this thick cloud right here, but because it's so thick, it serves as pretty important resistance and push price right back down. And afterwards, it really did try. It spent about like a whole month trying to get back into the cloud, and eventually pushes through about the cloud, retested the cloud, found support, and now it's bouncing up, right? So these are all very healthy price action here. I happen to think that this is one of those coins that are going to do pretty well over the next 12 to 18 months. Again, one step at a time, right? But if you look at the highs and the lows and trying to find the Fibonacci levels, is trying to break the 0.136 level here. Once it breaks, another important horizontal resistance right here at the 0.236. There are all these pretty well defined levels here. It looks like there's a lot of good history here. Now, I'll just wonder whether or not there is a volume shelf not in this data. Now, let me look at the volume shelf of Coinbase. If I just look at the volume shelf of Coinbase, you can see that we have broken out of this high volume shelf down here, and we have also broken out from here as well. I think once we're able to break about this neckline right around here, the next natural level, it could go from 30 cents going up to about 45 cents right up here, or maybe a little bit lower, like 40 cents. The next real resistance probably up here closer to maybe like 75 cents. but I think that it has the power to go a lot higher. That's Cortesi. And, and the last one I want to spend some time looking at is Ixbar. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I'm already at the 20-minute mark. All I have to say is Ixbar, just like the graph, it has some pretty real big time real world partners. Google Cloud, IBM. There's actually a real utility to Ixbar. Hedera Network is actually a thing. It's growing, and there are real partners, and it's actually doing things. Um, I don't want to spend too much time. What I'm going to say here is it does look like an Adam Eve bottom here. It's trying to break out about this neckline right around here. And based on the way that it's going, I think it's going to break through. And when it breaks through, it's probably going to test these levels over here. This chart really just looks like a lot of the Bitcoin miners look before they broke out. What you're seeing here is, if you look at the monthly, this chart looked very similar to the other ones I've shown you so far. There is an expansion of Bollinger Band, and the 20-month moving average is curling up. And then on top of that, you also have on the weekly, you're seeing a lot of the support that are being found from the boom market support band. And it's probably at the beginning of stage of this bull market here. If you're looking at potential targets, I'm just going to draw from up here to down here. And what you're going to see right here is that this is very similar to the other coins, guys. And that there's a potential for it to go higher depending on how things go. I'm going to give it another maybe 12 to 18 months to see how far it pushes us. A lot of times once this powerful bull market happens, it can surprise all of us in terms of how far it can go. I personally, right now, I have Chainlink. I don't have any VeChain yet. I don't have any Graph yet. I have Cortesi. I don't have any Ixbar yet. I might be looking into changing that. But these are just some of the things I want to show you. Not all the coins look like this. There are a lot of laggards that do not look nearly as bullish as these right here. I'm showing you the 5 that I think are looking like there could be some breakout there potentially happening soon. It's been 20 minutes. I'm going to let you go. Bye.